Man Speaks magazine today. With the Son of Man Speaks magazine, you'll receive automotive tips, wholesome recipes, financial advice, and most importantly, a true understanding of the Word of God. Get your copy of The Son of Man Speaks from these select locations. Sisters, Braid 2, 18070 Mount Elliott, the Shell gas station, 13110 West 7 Mile Road. To get a subscription, call 601-786-9788. That's 601-786-9788. The Son of Man Speaks magazine, dedicated to becoming free indeed.
Attention, brothers and sisters, viewers and listeners, now available. Your Son of Man Speaks magazine digital subscription. Your digital subscription to the Son of Man Speaks magazine will also include our monthly e-newsletter, both delivered to your inbox. If you have any questions regarding the digital magazine subscription or digital newsletter, you may send an email to shabazprinting@thenewnationofislam.com. That's shabazprinting@thenewnationofislam.com. Or call 1-601-786-9788. That's 1-601-786-9788. You can also subscribe online. Visit www.thenewnationofislam.com and click on the magazine tab to register for your online subscription.
We would like to invite you to help support the efforts of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Visit the website at www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. That's www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. We often hear how we need to work together to rebuild the city, and we're actually doing it. You can make online donations and click on links to track the progress of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. And for more information, 313-868-0000 is a local number. Again, 313-868-0000. Support the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
To make your online tithes, offerings, donations, gifts to the Son of Man through Cash App, make your payment to $New Nation of Islam. That's $New Nation of Islam. Or call 601-786-7056. 601-786-7056.
I just used your other one though today because it was, look, it did 2 drips and I was like, oh, I can use my umbrella. My homegirl was talking about me. I'm like, don't talk about me.
With our umbrellas, our customers are turning a drab day into a fab day. After all, representation matters. In other words, rain or shine, we've got you covered. Introducing Designs by Deej, your one-stop gift shop for all things handmade and unique. Our products range from our most popular umbrellas, blanket and pillow sets, handmade coasters, and other statement pieces that showcase the beauty of our melanin and natural hair in a beautiful and empowering way. You can find our brand at the sister shop locations in New Jersey and Atlanta, Georgia, or you can visit our website, www.designsbydeej.com. Again, that's www.designsbydeej.com.
SOS Graphic Design provides agency-quality professional graphic design services from established companies to startups and individuals, creating a simple logo to complete rebranding and delivering visual communication with print media. Everything SOS Graphic Design does has a single unifying objective: to set your business apart. We are at your service. Call 313-340 342-2166. That's 313-342-2166, or online at www.sosgraphicdesigns.com.
Are your clothes coming apart at the seams? Universal Seamstress and Tailoring has got you covered. At Universal Seamstress and Tailoring, we specialize in a wide variety of alterations and transformations to make and keep your clothes looking and fitting their best. From hem jobs to downsizing suits and dresses for a perfect fit to replacing zippers and buttons, Universal Seamstress and Tailoring is your one-stop shop for clothing maintenance. Also, do you have a logo for your clothes you'd like to wear? Universal Seamstress and Tailoring can put it there. That's right. At Universal Seamstress and Tailoring, we not only do alterations, but embroidery as well. Shirts, pants, coats, hats, even bags. If you can wear it, we can embroider it. So remember, whether it be alterations or embroidering you need, Universal Seamstress and Tailoring has got you covered. Universal Seamstress and Tailoring is located at 1404 Main Street, Fayette, Mississippi. Come and see us or give us a call at 601-786-0540.
Year-Around Landscaping has been serving Metro Detroit for over 20 years, offering various landscaping, lawn care, property maintenance, and home renovation. Our professionalism has earned us an outstanding reputation, while our creativity, integrity, and dependability have kept our clients returning and referring us to others. At Year-Round Landscaping, we prioritize quality customer service. We treat every client as our only client before, during, and after providing our services. We believe in building solid relationships with our clients and ensuring their satisfaction. Whether you need a complete outdoor makeover, indoor renovation, or routine maintenance, we have the expertise and resources to deliver outstanding results. Our team is committed to providing exceptional service and completing every project to the highest standard. To schedule an estimate or consultation, please call us at 248-843-6139 or visit our website at yeararoundlandscaping.net.
Year-Around Landscaping. One source, unlimited resources.
For elite carpet, floor, and upholstery cleaning, call Supreme Steam Cleaning. For pressure washing on your house and driveway, call Supreme Steam Cleaning. Flooding in your house or building, Supreme Steam Cleaning's got you covered with our emergency water extraction services. Transform the rooms in your home with floor installation, repairs, and more. Give us a call today at 601-720-5138. That's 601-720-5138. Visit our website, www.supremesteamclean.com, and follow us on social media at Supreme Steam Cleaning. When you need an elite team, call Supreme.
For all facets of professional hair care and braiding, come to Sisters Braid 2, located at 18070 Mount Elliott in Detroit. We specialize in braiding and natural styles, knotless box braids, feed-in braids, scale twists for men, women, and children. We specialize in all facets of healthy hair. Try our natural oils to keep your hair healthy. 313-826-0498 or 248-372-1738.
Murray, out of the pocket. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Murray hits the downfield. Oh, man, the power's out again.
You have reached Quality Construction and Engineering, your #1 emergency generator source.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life. With a backup generator, your life goes on uninterrupted with power when you need it. Not to mention the peace of mind of having your property suited to weather the storm.
Whoever would have thought in Houston, Texas, that we would have an ice storm? It did happen, and that Sunday night when it came in, I got up and looked out the front door. Everything was pitch black. It was horrible. Something out of a novel or a science book that you had never seen before. Once the lights went out, my generator popped on. It ran 55 hours. The only one had lights.
Get your backup generator installed with Quality Construction. We install both residential and commercial generators, so you're always covered. Schedule your consultation with us by calling 1-855-876-9370. That's 1-855-876-9370. Or visit us online at www.powerqec.com. That's www.powerqec.com. Financing is available with low monthly payments and 0% interest for 18 months.
That was the best investment that we could have ever made. That's my backup, the generator.
Generators with Quality Construction, built tough enough to weather the storm.
Capital Area Planning Services offers a variety of services catered to your land development needs. We offer landscape design, residential design, land planning, mapping and consulting services, and more. We have over 20 years of design and land planning experience. CAPS LLC offers services to developers, builders, architects, surveyors, contractors, government agencies, and private landowners. Feel free to contact us to find out which services are available in your area. You may reach us at 601-326-2966. That's 601-326-2966. You can also visit us on the web at www.capsllconline.com. Let us put on our thinking caps to serve your land development needs.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Brothers and sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scripture and not really understanding what you read? And if you're reasonably sure, have you ever tested that what you feel you know with someone that has a different view than your own? Then let's talk with one another. Then let's reason with one another on a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Wednesday at 9 p.m., Friday at 9 p.m., and Sunday at 12 noon on WHPR TV Detroit Live, 88.1 FM WHPR, and Comcast Cable. Why don't you call and discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning? You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. That's 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. And now, let's go live with a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again who are hungry and thirsty for the true understanding of the Word of God and for the truth in general. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's salam alaikum. I want to begin, as I always do, with those who have questions or something that you would like to discuss with me. I don't teach in secret. I teach everybody and in the open forum, so that everybody can learn and hear the questions that's asked me and hear my answers, and then it's up to you what you do with it. I had a brother to call me yesterday. He was in the nation. He told me he was about 77 years old. And, I'm always happy to hear from people who were in the nation when the messenger was here, because, they helped hold the door open for me till I got there. And so I always lower my wing to them to let them argue or whatever they want to talk to me about. I am willing always to accept that from them, because it's kind of like my siblings with my natural parents. Regardless to what my status is as the Son of Man, they knew me when I was they knew me as Marvin. So it don't offend me when they call me Marvin. Do you understand? And so I'll leave that up to them. Well, it's the same with Brother Donald and Imam Hassan and a lot of them who was in the nation when I came in. They know me as that, and if they don't call me Son of Man, I don't get offended, because I know that they don't mean nothing by that. We've always been close, and we've but you notice most of them, they'll get in front of you and they will call me Son of Man. But it's okay. I'm not hung up on that. Only reason I have y'all do that is because if you don't, you will think that I'm just standing up doing something on my own, and I'm not doing nothing on my own. I'm that man that the book tells you gonna judge the world. And the scripture referred to me as Son of Man. And so it's just like when you go into court. When you see the judge outside of court, then they lots of times people, because they know he's a judge, they will say, Your Honor, so-and-so and such and so and so. But people that don't know he's the judge, that may know him, or people that's been knowing him and running in kind of circles that he run in, they call him by, they may call him, I don't know what Judge Marchand's first name is, but they may be on a first name basis with him. But when they come in his courtroom, they recognize that, you got to remember who you're talking to. This man represents that court. Without him, there is no court. And without me, there is no Sabbath day. The Sabbath day didn't get here until I got here. It was officially here when I got here. The time for the new day was 1 second after midnight last night. But the day wasn't there until the sun rose. Do you understand? What if the sun hadn't rose? Would that still be a day? No. You'd be looking, well, where's the sun? It's supposed to be daytime here. So, but anyway, So, as the messenger, he told you, and I always let people hear it, because if I didn't, people would have an excuse. But if I let you hear him, hear it straight from his mouth.
Greetings to you. I'm Elijah Muhammad, the preacher of freedom, justice, and equality to you, my poor black people who have been lost in the wilderness of North America for the last 400 or more years. You, my dear beloved brothers and sisters that is listening to my voice on this album, I would that you pay good attention to it. Our subject is the judgment. Judgment has been taught, and we have been warned that it is a day coming that we all will be judged. And whosoever Allah have mercy upon, that person have a great reward bestowed upon him. Because we live in a world guided by the open enemy, the devil himself. Therefore, being lost from our own people, wherein there was no one to teach us, no one to help us. All teachers was prevented from teaching us. A very pitiable condition our fathers fell in when captured by our enemy, the open devil, in our native land. Through deceit, here we are today on trial before the God who will judge us all. Who will this God be? The Son of Man, both Bible and Holy Quran declares. He will be a man, a son from a man, Son of Man. Not a formless spirit that the scientists, scholars of religion have given this name. So that judge on that day, the day of judgment in which we now live, will be a man. For only a man can judge rightly between man and man, because their nature is alike. Anything other than a man cannot judge our affairs, nor guide us in the right way that we will be successful. It's got to be a man. That when is the day of resurrection. This is the day of resurrection. You're living in it. When is the doom coming? When will be it taking place? Don't hurry for that day, because you're living in it now.
Now, you also must remember that he told you that he was the Elijah that was to come before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Jesus told you in the 12th chapter and 8th verse of Matthew, for the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath day. Well, if Elijah was to come right before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, he was to come right before the day of the Son of Man. And that's why he told you. He said, who will judge? He said, the Son of Man. Who is the Son of Man?
Wait until you and Elijah Muhammad.
Not that one. Let's go to
who will judge the Son of Man? Who is this Son of Man, you may question? He is a man that the Almighty God of the black man's nation made for the purpose of being the judge today. He's called and is known as the Son of Man. This makes it clear to you from both scripture books, that is the Bible and Quran, that you don't expect anything but a man to sit judge over the nations of the earth.
If it was not for this internet, I would not be able to sit judge over the nations of the earth. But Allah, after bringing me to birth, while I was growing up and maturing, technology was being prepared for me to be able to gather the whole world together as one community. Oh, community of jinn and men. Yeah, wasn't no community of jinn and men a real community until everybody could communicate with each other like they can now. You see. Now I know you don't agree with me so quick, but I tell you what, the longer you listen to me, the more you're gonna agree with me. So anyway, you know, I got one complaint about brothers and sisters that was in the nation with me. You don't keep your word. So when I meet one that does keep his word, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised and happy. Because you all say you're going to do something and you don't do it. And it is hateful in the sight of Allah for you to say or agree to do something, and then after we made an agreement, you don't do it. So I hope, brother, I was so excited about hearing from a brother that was a little older than me and was in the nation. I forgot to ask the brother his name. But anyway, I think he probably told me his name, but I was, usually I have to ask him again what your name was, and I didn't ask him. But anyway, brother, are you there? You called me yesterday wanting to know about the flag and some other things. Press 5* on your line, and the brother will see your hand go up, and he will unmute you. All you have to do is hit the 5 and the star key, and that will, many people, they see that flag and they want to know why 2 moons is on it. It's not 2 moons, it's only 1 moon, and since it can't revolve, I put it to show you that the moon comes in its first and last quarter. You see, and you notice that's just flags are always symbolic of something. Just like for every when you look at the red and white in the American flag, most people, they don't give it no thought. And even when they teach it, the people don't pay half attention to what they're teaching. The red and white represents man. Your red cells and your white cells in your blood. That's red and white. And then you got the blue there. You notice when they call a code blue, somebody done died or they about to die. And so, you know, that red, white, and blue, this is that's what the Caucasian, he have been the rider on the pale horse. His name that sat on him was death. And that's what the blue is, untrue. You know, when you don't understand, when you get religion from him, he killing your mind. He taking the sword of truth, the spoken word that the prophets taught, and when he get through teaching you, you have a religion that ain't found nowhere in the scripture, and yet he have you worshiping that. And next thing you know, when he get through educating you, you have what you call a devil for a companion. And it's like the man that let me see, Mr. Madoff, he did it. Then you had this youngster did the same thing, was borrowing money from some people to make it look like he's making other people rich. And he just kept doing that. And got up into billions of dollars. Didn't he get up into billions of dollars? Pretending that he knew something about finances that other people didn't know, and all he was doing was lying to people. He was taking money that people thought he was investing, and he was giving it to other people while he's skimming off of it. And he thought that he was doing something slick, when the only thing he was doing was deluding himself. His devils made his deeds fair seeming to him. His delusional mind. And this is what the scripture says. That I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is in the this is in the Holy Quran, and it's in the book of Romans too. It's in the Holy Quran and let me find it. Okay. Let's see. I want to find it in these other words here. Okay. Be patient with me. In the when skimming or trying to find something, if you don't have the proper spelling or whatnot, you won't never find what you're looking for. Give me a minute. Okay, I guess I have to go with the other term. Friend. Okay. And in the book of Romans, and turn to the 4th chapter of the Holy Quran, and turn to the book of Romans, the first chapter. Yes. Now, in the no, well, oh, okay, got it. Now, let's go to the 4th chapter of the Holy Quran, and the 100 and I would call it off right away, but sometimes in the book it's different than it is on the internet. So you have to, sometimes they got a different number. Okay, the 116th verse. Okay, and in the book of Romans, the 28th verse of the 1st chapter of Romans. It says, and even as they did not like to retain, now it says God. Now remember now, you learned in English that you can substitute the meaning of a word for the word, and the sentence will still make sense. Now, in this particular place, when it says the Word was God, well, you notice in John, the 1st chapter, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, well, what Word was God? Okay, now you turn to the 17th chapter of John. See, I'm doing what the Scripture told me to do. It says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Notice the way that it's put there, it says God first, and then it tells you rightly dividing the word of truth, letting you know that God is the truth. Do you understand? And so the 17th verse of the 17th chapter of John, it says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth, and the word was God, right? Well, what was the word? Huh? You have a microphone there, but use it.
True.
Yes. Okay, so now you go back over here. It says, and even as they did not like to retain truth in their knowledge, the grantor of dominion, you know, the truth don't force itself on you. You either accept the truth or you're left with a lie. It's just like the light. You either accept the light or you deceive yourself when you call darkness light. There is no substitute for light. And this is what happens to people who decide that the light that's with them ain't good enough. When you say that the Son of Man, I don't need him. I don't need to call on him to ask him what to do. I know how to do this. If you knew how to do so much, you wouldn't be in the shape this whole world wouldn't be in the shape that it's in if you knew what you was doing. You had Netanyahu. First he was belligerent and everything. Now he over there, that was a bad mistake I made over there. And the whole thing is a bad mistake. People got people in their charge that trust them, that can't see no further than the tip of their nose, the blind leading the blind, and people just dying wholesale because the blind following blind people, following their feelings. The worst thing you can do is make a important or grave decision while you are emotionally compromised. But anyway, as it says, and even as they did not like to retain, you know when you go to court, you retain a lawyer. When you enter into the day of judgment, you better retain God in your knowledge. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, if you were to keep it holy, then you had better retain the Holy Scriptures. Oh, that's right, you can't read them. Then you better retain the Lord in your knowledge. But you don't think you need me. Okay. All right, you keep on, I'm going to be through with you. You know, you think that man, what that other youngster's name? You know, Madoff, his mind had backed up on him and made him look at evil and made evil fast seeming to him. What's that other boy's name?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Bankman-Fried. He did basically the same thing Madoff did. You know, it's you know, it's like I watched people as I was growing up doing drugs. And, you know, some of my little friends, and some of them was my brother's friends and stuff, older brothers and stuff. And it was amazing to me how they could see what drugs had did to other people. And they were stupid enough to think that it wouldn't do that to them. I can handle it, they said. I got this. I mean, it's you think I learned that there ain't no right way to do a wrong thing? People always think they can do a wrong thing the right way. Think about that. They have deceived themselves. Their mind is a devil. They have a devil for a friend. You know, definition of friend is if you do whatsoever I command you. And they do what their mind command them, because they think that what their mind is telling them is workable. This will work. And the Holy Quran says, surely, listen now. Surely Allah forgives not setting up partners with him. And he forgives all besides this to whom he pleases. And whoever sets up a partner with Allah, he indeed goes far astray. Do you think you can side with a delusion and be successful? Adopting anything other than truth will lead you to disaster. But people don't think that. They try to figure out a way around right, which is what they don't realize is they are deluding themselves into thinking that wrong can be right if you do it right. Did you hear me? No. It says, surely Allah forgives not setting up partners with him. The truth ain't got no partner. The truth is, and the truth is the only God, grantor of dominion. Falsehood neither creates nor can it reproduce. Then it says, and he who sets up a partner with Allah, he indeed goes far astray. He done went off the path. Besides him, they call on nothing but female divinities. Female divinities is gods that you done made up in your mind. Understandings that you done produced in your mind and convinced yourself that what you understand is just as good as the understanding you could have gotten from God. But you chose your understanding. And so you now following a female, a fetus from male, that is from your mind, a female divinity. And they call on nothing but a rebellious devil. See, why does your mind convince you to do something that then it don't turn out right, and you still don't realize that that was the devil deceiving you? The devil deluded you. The mind that you have is a divisor. Now, what kind of divisor it is? Well, it's just, anything other than what Allah give you. Your mind is a divisor of illusion. And so you have a devil for a friend. And so it says, and besides him, they call on nothing but female divinities, and they call on nothing but a rebellious devil, divisor of illusion. You see, why I say rebellious? Because when you are given an instruction and you don't follow it from someone that you were ordered to obey, then you are rebellious. And the mind that's in you is a rebellious deviser of illusion. Because you think that you know better when you didn't, if you didn't know better. And proof that you didn't know better is what you devised didn't turn out right. I don't care how long it went. Look how long Mr. Friedman, Bankman Friedman, what's his name? Bankman Friedman? Bankman Fried? Look how long he went before it finally didn't turn out like he thought it should or would. There is no right way to do a wrong thing. People keep thinking that they can enslave other human beings. They just got to figure out the right way to get it. The only way you can wind up enslaving human beings is to take away their free will. And you ain't never going to be able to do that. People, as long as people have brains, you know, a will comes with a brain when you dealing with humanity. Even an animal got a will of sort. You see people that have tamed animals and seemingly had them completely docile get killed by that same animal. You know, you may put will to sleep, but the nature of a sleeper is to eventually wake up. And once a sleeper wakes up, then the will is awoke. And then you got a problem. You know, I mean, you can't do wrong and it turn out right. And to convince yourself to do something that you know is wrong, but you somehow think that, well, it'll be all right. I'm just going to do this. You are living in a delusion. Besides him, they call on nothing but female divinities, and they call on nothing but a rebellious devil, whom Allah has cursed. Who did he curse? When that mind wouldn't submit to the man that Allah made and ordered him to submit to, he said, on thee is a curse until the day of judgment. And he said, my Lord, as you have judged me, Aaron, the prince of this world, is judged. As you have judged me, Aaron. That's what he said. He said, I shall certainly make evil fast seeming to them, and I shall cause them all to deviate. When Allah said, go forth, he sent him forth. For this cause God shall send them strong delusion. Go forth, for surely thou art driven away, and on thee is a curse, till the day of judgment, till the coming of the Son of Man. When the Son of Man show up, the day of judgment has arrived. The day of judgment is the day of truth, the day where the two conspicuous ways are shown to you and explained to you. And if it's just this simple. I am the way to righteousness. Everybody else is the wrong way. Now you fix it however you want. And it says, and if you trust yourself, you leading yourself to hell. Just like they say, A lawyer who gets in court trying to represent himself got a fool for a client. A doctor who is sick and decides that he's going to operate on himself and heal himself, well, he got a fool for a patient. And a wicked man that thinks that he can get to righteousness by his own self got a fool for a leader. And that's it. Now, it says, and certainly I will lead, listen now, it says, whom Allah has cursed. And he said, certainly I will take of thy servants an appointed portion. You know what the appointed portion are. The appointed portion is, how many for hell? 999 out of every 1,000. What did Solomon say? 1 man in 1,000 have I found, and 1 woman in 1,000 have I not found. You notice, you wouldn't know that until you understand that female don't necessarily add up to woman. You see, you have to know how God defined woman. And when you know how he defined woman, then you understand. For God said, it is not good for the man to live alone. I will make for him and help meet for him. A help to meet with me, a help to meet with his obligations to me, a help that is agreeable with him to serve me. And that's true on both sides. What is the school for? The school was set up to help as a help to the ruler to teach people to measure up and meet together to agree on learning something that's going to help the ruler. Do you understand? And that's why we refer to schools as she. But anyway, let's get back over here. It says, and certainly I will lead them astray and excite in them vain desires and bid them, you won't have no vain desires once you become my follower, because your desire is to help me in whatever way I want you to help me. You ain't following your desire. You following what I give you to do. Do you understand? See, I'm saying this in front of the whole world. Ain't none of them saying nothing. Ain't nobody calling me no petty dictator. No. I'm not here to instruct you on how to benefit me. I know how to benefit me if that's all I wanted. So I'm not here to what you may call beg people. I'm not here to beg. Who's that? Huh? But like I was saying, I saw them dope heads. The more they use drugs, the worse they got. And pretty soon, if you went to talk to them about it, they'd say, look, man, I know what I'm doing. And it was clear to see that they didn't know what they was doing, because they couldn't see themselves. They were literally starting to look like something that fire done caught hold to And you notice when you put a log in the fire, especially them pretty ones that you buy out there with the particle dust, with the fuel in them, you put them in there, it looks so pretty. And once it starts burning, it gets uglier and uglier. It begins to turn to ash. And as you look at some men and women that were decent looking, and they get on them drugs, next thing you know, they start to look worse and worse and worse, until pretty soon that drug done did them like fire does wood and paper and anything else that's combustible. And you notice there is a word that's like that: combustible, corruptible. You see, that's what wickedness does to you. Every time you do a little, it corrupts you. A little more and more and more, until you just on fire with corruption. Do you understand? And then that's the end of you. Can't nobody tell you nothing, because you know what you're doing. Then when you asked about it, and somebody asks you to, it's just like the people that you ask that's following Donald Trump, that have convinced themselves to believe, knowingly believe in a lie, because they figure that lie will help them acquire some power that they want, so that they can, and they don't lie to themselves again. Because if I could get in the Congress, if I could get in the Senate, I could do good for people. So this lie that I'm telling, if it will help me get in there, then all it does, they convince themselves that they just doing this because they want to do something good for people, but I got to do something bad in order to get in there to do something good. And once they tell themselves that lie, well, then they can lie to themselves from that point on, and just keep lying, and this is what has happened, And then when you ask them, hey man, you say you believe the election was fraudulent, and they say yes, it was fraud. And say, well, where did you find something that told you it was fraud? If it was fraud, I just ain't found it yet, but it was fraud. And but to say it was fraud, it's like, don't you think that's kind of like calling while people is in a huddle on a football field? Ain't that kind of like calling somebody offsides before they come out the huddle? What are you doing? When people lining up, coming out the huddle to get there on the line before everybody gets set, you calling offsides when they just coming to line up. What are you doing? There wasn't no offside before everybody got set. Then after everybody gets set and somebody moved before the ball is snapped, then you can call a penalty. But you can't call no penalty when you didn't see now. Do you understand? Well, and when you explain that to them, they don't hear you. You can't say it was fraud and then say I ain't found it yet. But that's what they convinced themselves to give as a response. Like the people who was asked, do you want me to release the Barabbas, a known robber, or Jesus, the king of the Jews? Give us Barabbas. Well, what do you want me to do with Jesus? Let him be crucified. What crime has he done? Let him be crucified. Yeah, but what crime has he done? Let him be crucified. We wouldn't have brought him to you if he hadn't did nothing. That's the way these people are very unjust. When you convince yourself to go along with a lie, then your mind has now turned away from light and turned to darkness. And from that point on, lies began to be truth to you. Lies began to dominate your thinking. You see, and that's what has happened to many people in this country. You know, and you know, I'm on the air trying to get you to repent and see yourself. But it seems that you are like that old the parable of the vampire. Every time the sunlight shines on him, he runs away from it. Donald Trump was asked, why aren't you going to take the stand in your defense? He didn't say nothing. He just walked away. He ran from the reporter while he said he wanted to take the stand, which was a lie, because if he wanted to take the stand, all he had to do was tell his lawyer to put me on the stand. But there again, you see, people, let me tell you something. One of the poets said in so many words, well, you can lie to everybody, but to thine own self be true. You know what that meant? You can get out on the stage and act a part and all of that kind of thing, but don't convince yourself that your act is real. Make sure you, to your own self, you know that this part you playing ain't real. Do you understand? Because if you give yourself over to start believing in the lies that you tell, you are living in delusion. And delusion is self-deception. And self-deception will kill you. It's like people who was laying up in the hospital and then dying from COVID, asking the nurses and doctors, what's really wrong with me? I know it ain't no virus. What is it? Because Donald Trump and them was out there playing it down, talking about that virus wasn't nothing. So, it says, and certainly I will lead them astray and excite in them vain desires and bid them so that they will slit the ears of the cattle and bid them so that they will alter Allah's creation. They'll be messing. Look at what Donald Trump did with the Bible. He added something to it. The Declaration of Independence. And I think he put the Constitution in there and what else did he put in there? But anyway, it says, and they will alter Allah's creation. And whoever takes the devil for a friend, forsaking Allah, he indeed suffers a manifest loss. You know what the manifest loss is? Your mind. That's what the mind is used for, to make judgments and make things clear to you, make things manifest to you. But when you take other than Allah for a friend, when you take other than the truth for a friend, you suffer a manifest loss. Because from that point on, nothing you say. It's like you say something to somebody and you think it make all the sense in the world, and they be looking at you and trying to figure out what in the world are you thinking? That made sense to you? Well, to the delusional mind, delusion makes sense. That's what happens when you take the devil for a friend. When you take the deviser, a mind that's devising illusions, telling you to do something that's wrong, and made it seem okay. You got a devil for a friend. Why? Because you do whatsoever your friend tell you. Whosoever, you are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. Well, you the devil's friend if you do whatsoever your delusional mind tell you. The devil is your friend. Now you can scoff at me if you want. You can say, well, he just mad, or he just this, or he just, no, you the one that's mad. You know, you're like a person that's a lifeguard, try to jump in and save because they're in the water over his head or her head, and fast as the lifeguard pulling them out of the deep water, they swimming or trying to swim back that way, talking about, I got it, I know what I'm doing, and they was drowning before he dropped in there. No, you need to get out of that pool. You're looking at a world that went crazy, that's done gone crazy over desire of delusional wealth, the deceitfulness of riches. That's the world you're living in. Here's a man that makes guns. He produces firearms, Remington, and I don't know some of the rest of them. But anyway, if he can figure out a way to make everybody want a gun, man, that's a lot of money he's going to make off of that. And if he can figure out a way to make them stockpile guns, that's much more money he's going to make out of that. So they get on there and first get a fool like Donald Trump and a few other politicians that ain't politicians. They flunkies. They are people who will do anything for a dollar. Put a suit on him and dress him up, and then create a fictitious background for him and introduce him to the people as a great leader. And put him on TV and put ads out there and run him for office. Then get him in office and have him start changing laws like how much money can be donated to a campaign so that wealthy people can put money into campaigns, and then say, I'll tell you what you do. Get in there and cut our taxes. And once you cut the taxes, then the money that would have been going to the government to pay taxes can now be used to finance campaigns against the government, and you know, they done figured out a way to have their cake as they think and eat it too. The fools done forgot that the only reason that they rich is because of the government that was set up and in the way that it was set up, that they could come here and they could really prosper. And they trying to as the old saying go, the fool's killing the goose that laid the golden egg. that is rich, man. But anyway, you have to be outside of that to observe what's really going on inside of that. If you ain't on the outside of it, you ain't got no objective view of what's really happening. But that's what's happening. And, Allah made me a watchman. A watchman ain't no watchman if he out there in it with you. He got to get on the outside of it and look it over and tell you what's happening there. And so it's a lot of things that I don't talk about because I like to help those who are trying to protect the country. And you talk too much and you give away the wrong things, and you have to remember not to you can't say everything that's happening, that those who are true law enforcement people, they have ways to protect the country. But if you get out here telling all the ways they have to protect the country, then you fixing it where they can't protect you. Do you understand? So you got to know to keep your mouth shut about certain things. But anyway, I ain't giving up nothing here. But all I'm giving up now is showing you what the crooks is doing. And so they put people in. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan and these people. Where these people come from? Then you had some snakes in the grass like Ted Cruz that he didn't have no integrity and he had a price. Ain't no telling what they found on him, and he caved or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you got these kind of unpatriotic people in the government that have convinced themselves that you can convince yourself of anything if you want it bad enough. That's what the nature of being hungry and thirsty for something is. You will see water where ain't no water if you get thirsty enough. Do you understand? And so look at Marco Rubio and stuff. Why did he all of a sudden become a Trump bootlicker and all that kind of thing? What happened? The love of money. When a man love his country and love his people, you can't buy that man. You can't threaten him enough to make him turn on his people and on his country. You just can't do it. And so this is what's happening. You got a bunch of people up there that is plain to see that there are snakes in your garden, and you got a big job. And people that think so little of you that they think they can just blatantly, right out in the open, insult you to your face and plot the overthrow of your government right there in front of you. That tells you what they think of you and what they think of your manhood and your womanhood. So, my future does not depend on what you doing. You must ain't been looking at the weather lately, have you? You think I told you I could sit right here in Mississippi, and I could watch y'all sweep all of you off the earth. Let me show you something. You think this is some joke. This ain't no joke.
That breaking news right now. 21 people are dead. That's a higher number than we had just an hour ago. And nearly 600,000 homes are without power across 11 states. 71 million people are still under severe storm risk from Alabama to New York. 8 of the deaths were in Arkansas alone, where hard-hit neighborhoods now look like war zones, streets completely littered with debris. Winds so powerful, they ripped off the front half of this Dollar General store. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, just take a look at this massive twister that touched down in Eddyville, 2 hours west of Bowling Green. Governor Andy Beshear said just last hour that one tornado was on the ground for at least 40 miles. And in Missouri, 20 minutes outside of St. Louis, golf ball-sized hail raining down, damaging homes. Joining us now is NBC's Priscilla Thompson from Valley View, Texas, where an EF2 tornado tore through neighborhoods. Here in studio is meteorologist Michelle Grossman. So, Priscilla, what's the latest there on the ground?
Yeah, Chris, people here are in shock after what they survived on Saturday, and you look at the devastation and you understand why. We are at a gas station where the governor says 125 people were sheltering when the roof caved in as that EF2 tornado bore down. That gives you a sense of the strength of that tornado. People here were terrified. One woman told me she was hovering over a baby and just praying. And less than a mile up the road, there were families in their homes doing the same. We spoke to a woman, Monica Vasquez, who was in a closet with her 5 children and her husband, the youngest child just 3 years old. And listen to how she described what they experienced. And so as you're in that closet with the kids, what was going through your mind?
I don't want to die.
And I feel you getting emotional. What's happening right now?
Because that's what I thought. Me and my family were going to die.
And so we're talking about folks that are traumatized after what they experienced and are now looking at their homes that have been completely destroyed, trying to salvage what they can and figure out how to move forward. That is a lot to deal with. And just to give you a sense of the pattern of weather that we have seen here in Texas, there are 108 of the 250 some odd counties here that are under disaster declarations right now. And this is the type of situation that we're seeing across the country, across the South and the Midwest, as these tornadoes have just wreaked havoc. Chris?
Okay, Michelle, when can we start to see some relief here? This has been a devastating weekend, to say the least.
It has. It's been a devastating, severe weather season so far. So after a really tough weekend, we had a tough overnight. Now we're starting to see things slow down before they reignite. And we do expect storms that not quite are impactful as yesterday or the day before, but still will cause some impacts. So let's talk about what's going to happen today. We have those holiday storms certainly slowing down traffic on the roads, in the airways, from New England, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Carolinas, into portions of the Southeast. We're going to see really heavy rainfall, 4 to 5 inches in some spots. Could see some hail, some damaging winds, and a few tornadoes are possible. Back to the west here, we're looking at some soggy weather that will slow us down too, with some showers in the upper Midwest into the northern plains. Certainly if you have parade plans, picnic plans, you want to heed any local warnings that you may have. Another big weather story, the record heat along the south. Remember, so hard hit over the weekend. We have power outages and we are looking at record heat. Could see temperatures into the triple digits, 5 to 15 degrees above what is typical for this time of year. Take a look at some of these numbers. 71 million people impacted by severe weather or the threat as we go throughout the day. That's because we're talking about major cities from New York City to Philadelphia, D.C., Raleigh, Wilmington, Charleston, down to Montgomery, Alabama. Again, could see really gusty winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. That's going to bring down some trees, some power lines, certainly causing some power outages. Could see some large hail, 2 inches or greater. That's enough to cause damage on its own. And yes, we are concerned about about a few tornadoes as well. This is what radar looks like right now. Better than an hour ago, even better than 2 hours ago. So we're still seeing some storms. We have a severe thunderstorm watch, that's in the yellow. We have tornado warnings. That is in the red. So where you see these red boxes right here, those are tornado warnings. Notice that storm moving through. You're looking at some purple. That's where we could be seeing some hail. Certainly seeing the lightning, hearing that thunder, hearing the winds howling as well. And this is all going to move off to the east. So then, Chris, we're talking about anywhere along the East Coast could see some of these storms as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours. Back to you.
Michelle Grossman, as I was watching out the window in the newsroom, you could literally see the skies turning darker and darker and darker over the last half an hour. People should take heed. Thank you. Meantime, to politics now and the courtroom. Closing arguments set to be.
That was on the news this morning. So, you think that you can just do what you please? Okay. You better start paying attention to what's going on in the world. Allah's not asleep. Okay. And I've been warning you. I've warned you and warned you and warned you. You need to turn around. You need to stop all of this lying. You know what Allah said He's going to do with all liars? He said all liars shall have their part in the lake that burneth with fire and brimstone. Okay. Soon you ain't going to be able to stay in these places that you're living in. You're going to have to leave them. I'm going to drive you to the center of the country. And there, you're going to be made to admit that you are driven by calamities. Then you will understand. But I know I'm just another little delusional darky that's got delusions of grandeur. I know. So I'm gonna leave that alone, and just gonna remind you that a reprobate mind is a terrible thing to be left with. Let's look up the term reprobate. I like to let you see that I'm not a person who just say things. Reprobate. Depraved, unprincipled, or wicked person. You know, it's certain things that you have to remember, that when you cheat or do things that you should not against others, it shows a lack of principles, a lack of morals, regardless of what you tell yourself. Do you understand? It says, a morally unprincipled person. One who is predestined to damnation. You notice, every time you delude yourself into doing something that's wrong and making it right in your mind because you're doing it for a good purpose, that you say, I'm doing this evil, but I'm doing it for a good purpose. Do you understand? Well, then you building a dam around your mind. You pitching your brain where truth can't get in. Until pretty soon, you think everybody just don't get it. Well, it ain't everybody that don't get it. It's you that ain't getting it. Don't you ever notice when people ask me questions, I always have an answer that can be understood and not argued with? Don't you know if somebody asks you a question and you get through answering and they can argue with you, it's because your answer didn't make no sense? You remember I asked the man why was he supporting Israel before he got mad and left? He didn't give me no scriptural answer that made any sense. And when I began to show him the truth about what Israel really is, as the scripture says, I send thee to the rebellious house of Israel. They have rebelled against me, they and their fathers, even unto this very day. That's right there in the book. Now, what I look like supporting a rebellious devil? I don't support rebellion. I support people who submit to God. Do you understand? Just like it was on the same broadcast there that Netanyahu was admitting that they messed up. It's time to stop then, ain't it? Didn't President Biden ask him not to do that? Let me see here.
Tomorrow morning in the first criminal trial of a former American president. Donald Trump's...
Listening to these talking heads, I want to get to this other thing.
Well, I think that's certainly true. I mean, look, it's really clear that the trial is taking a...
Maybe this one ain't it. Y'all give me a minute here.
Fiduciary Financial Advisors at smartasset.com.
Are you being...
I thought I had recorded some of it, but
Today...
You remember I told you that the air is now thicker? And that you're going to see, you know, I mean, if you ain't careful, these planes, you're going to start seeing some of the wings get tore off of them when they're up there. You know, you're already seeing planes get tossed around up there like toys. You know, here's another one that happened today.
A mid-flight scare is rocking the airline industry after 12 people were injured in severe turbulence on a flight from Doha to Dublin. Qatar Airlines says 8 people had to be taken to the hospital, and it is investigating the incident. One passenger shared these photos from inside the cabin of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, where food was tossed into the aisle and splattered onto the ceiling. It comes just 5 days after a passenger died and dozens more were injured when a Singapore Airways flight from London hit severe turbulence. Meantime, here in the U.S., millions are heading home as Memorial Day weekend comes to a close with travel.
That one ain't it either. Y'all give me a minute. I may have not recorded it. I don't know. You know, just it's so many things happening that it's almost just.
In minutes with the power of AI, with the perfect name.
says that a newly published tweet from the IDF claims the camp was not in a declared safe zone. So what can you clarify for us, and what do we still not know?
So, Chris, that safe zone that you're seeing on your screen there is called Al-Mawasi. It's a coastal area in Gaza that the IDF has said will be safer for Palestinian civilians as they flee from the fighting in eastern Rafah. They can move west towards the coast. Today's strike did not happen in that designated safe zone. It happened nearby, and it did happen near a UN compound where Palestinian civilians believed that they would be safe because of the proximity to that protected facility. There's also some dispute about whether it happened in a block area of that map that Israel had at one point told Palestinians was considered a safe zone. What we do know is that the strike happened in the early hours of this morning. Families were sleeping in tents in western Rafah, tents made of plastic, tents made of wood. And then all hell broke loose when that Israeli strike began. The emergency services in Hamas-run Gaza say at least 40 people were killed. Our team on the ground has seen charred bodies. The rescue teams are saying that some of these people were burned to death. And today you have families sifting through the remains of their tents, families who were displaced many times already in the course of this fighting. And, Chris, they are trying to find somewhere new, somewhere that they hope will be safe going forward. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the Israeli parliament a little earlier. He described this as a tragic mishap. There's been some back and forth over the exact translation. There's not a specific word that matches the Hebrew, but mishap seems to capture the spirit of what he said. He promised that there would be an investigation. The Israeli military says that the strike did succeed in killing 2 senior Hamas commanders who were accused of planning attacks in the occupied West Bank. In just the last hour or so, we have a statement from the National Security Council at the White House. They are saying that the images coming out of Rafah are heartbreaking, and that while Israel has the right to pursue and target Hamas operatives, it must take every possible precaution to protect civilians. Chris.
So, these people got a scripture that says that let me see here. Over in Genesis, around the 18th chapter, somewhere around there. Don't do no good to go to the gospel, because they don't accept the gospel. At least that's what they claim. So let's go over here. This is the 23rd verse of the 18th chapter of Genesis. It says, "And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked? That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" Huh? I think that says it all right there. And the Lord said unto Abraham, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place. I'll spare everybody in there for their sakes. Ain't that something? Well, I guess Israel ain't chosen for what you thought they was chosen for, huh? The devil was chosen. He was chosen to test the righteous. He was chosen to lead those who were corruptible and who would accept wickedness. He was chosen to lead them in wickedness, to lead them astray, to lead them to their destruction. So, all right. So I don't have to keep beating that horse. As they say, who wants to keep beating a dead horse? You don't have to keep beating on that horse. That horse is already crossed the finish line. You see, I'm not interested in just blanket destruction of human beings. So Allah's separating you. He's bringing about the separation. Yep. So there came a time when Lot had to get out of Sodom. Because, of the promise, Allah said, I'm not going to destroy it if some righteous people in there. But they ran Lot out of there. They was getting ready to attack Lot. So the angel said, you go on and get out of here and get your family and whoever follow you. You get them out of here because we're going to deal with these people and we're going to meet them in the morning. They want to meet us. They want to know us. We're going to know them in the morning. So they got to know him. That was the last thing they got to know, but they got to know him. So I remember once I was looking at Star Trek and they gave a little hint. I told you about this episode once, but Captain Picard, they found a planet that was barren, and they found a man and a woman living in a little oasis on it. And when it was all said and done, the man was actually not a man. He was somewhat of a powerful being. They didn't call him a god, but he had powers that you would expect a god to have. And he had created a woman that had been killed. This woman that he loved was killed by these people. And he got so angry that he killed the whole planet of those people. And he didn't just get rid of them on that one. He got rid of them on everywhere they was at. And when Captain Picard found that out, he told him, "You gonna have to be judged by a higher power than me. We out of here." He got out of there. But that's one of them things that said, "Judge not that you be not judged." And so, they made him in his real form. They made him black. He was just a shadow of a creature, a man. And, you know, he's been telling you that the black man is your judge. Why you think judges put on black robes? I beheld a black horse, and he that sat upon him had a pair of balances in his hands. Okay. Now you keep on tripping. You just keep on. You gonna understand why the book says, and the lamb was angry. I ain't never seen a lamb growling at nobody. You don't think of sheep as being angry and dangerous. But this lamb in Revelation say he was angry. Huh? Okay. Yeah. So, for all this, his anger is not turned away. But his hand is stretched out still. So I've been trying to help all of you. I pray for President Biden all of the time. I really pray that him and all of those who support him, which I hope are the majority of the people in this country, the majority of them voted for him this last time. I pray that you do it again. I pray that you don't let yourself be duped into following a known liar. You have a decent man up there in the White House. I would think that it would be refreshing to you to not every day see a headline that the President of the United States done made an ass of himself somewhere. You know, I would think that that would be refreshing to you, that the President, you hardly ever hear anything about him except presidential things that he's doing. And you ought to be shouting that from the housetop. But what can you say? You gonna do what you gonna do. And the same way you gonna do what you gonna do, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and Allah gonna do what he gonna do. So now, I've been trying my best to help you save your country. I think it's worth saving. You know, I look at some of the things that some of your people are doing on game reserves and all of that kind of thing. You know, just trying to do what's right. I love to see people trying to do what's right. You know, I took a little, let me see here. I thought I had, checked or copied 2 of them, but I guess I didn't. But it was one moment in here that where a cheetah gave birth in let's see here. Just a moment.
After a situation, there was something wrong with the cheetah in pen number 5. Jim Andelin, the director of the Metro Richmond Zoo, and Dr. Alvarez, the attending veterinarian, exchanged wary glances as they observed her behavior. Milani paced restlessly within the enclosure. Milani rejected every one of them. Months of failed attempts weighed heavily on the team, who were determined to provide Milani with a chance to be a mother. Then, like a twist to try, as soon as they approached the den, they found Milani in a panic. The mother cheetah had briefly left her other cubs to attend to the fifth. She groaned and nudged it as though willing it to be healthy, but the poor thing was barely responsive. The moment she heard the vet and his team coming, the cheetah did something absolutely shocking. She stepped out of the den as though she was allowing them to go in and retrieve her sick cub. The other cheetahs watched her from a distance, but seemingly understood that she was willingly welcoming the humans inside their sacred territory for a reason, and a crucial one at that. Although they still had to follow security protocol, the staff quickly noticed that the cheetahs did not show any signs of serious defensiveness. So, with caution, Dr. Alvarez entered the den and picked up the fifth cub. Milani watched them with wary eyes. As Dr. Alvarez emerged from the den, clutching the fragile fifth cub in his gloved hands, the atmosphere in the enclosure grew tense. The zoo staff, who had been cheering just moments ago, exchanged worried glances. The contrast between the healthy wriggling cubs and the motionless form in the vet's hands was stark and disheartening. Whispers of concern spread among the team. One of them asked if it was even alive. Milani, her fur still matted from the exertion of labor, watched them with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Even in her weakened state, the maternal instincts burned bright within her, urging her to care for the cub that lay so still in the hands of the humans. As the commotion continued, Dr. Alvarez gently laid the sickly cub on a specially prepared examination table nearby. The cub's breathing was shallow, its skin pallid and translucent. The vet's fingers worked quickly and methodically, taking samples and conducting tests while his team stood by, ready to assist in any way they could. Each passing second seemed to stretch into an eternity as the team waited for answers. Milani paced restlessly outside the den, her eyes never leaving her cub. The results of the test arrived, casting a heavy shadow over the room. Dr. Alvarez's face remained solemn as he delivered the grim news to his team. The youngest cub had been born with a severe birth defect, a condition that would make its survival a daunting challenge. Everyone suddenly went quiet as they looked at the cub with sadness and pity. The news hit them hard. The staff had dedicated themselves to the care and preservation of these magnificent animals, and seeing one of their precious newborns afflicted by such a cruel twist of fate was a bitter blow. Milani's instinctive protectiveness towards her cubs was palpable, her eyes fixed on the sickly cub with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. Despite the bad news, Dr. Alvarez and his team were determined to do what they could to turn things around. They were faced with a daunting task: to fight for the life of this fragile cub, to defy the odds, and to prove their commitment to these creatures, especially Milani, who had already been through so much. The sickly cub's vulnerability seemed to amplify their determination, and even in the face of adversity, they were not about to give up. Consultations with experts from around the world came running as the team sought guidance and insights into the delicate situation. The urgency of the cub's condition prompted them to explore every possible avenue, drawing from a wealth of knowledge and experience. Together, they meticulously crafted a comprehensive care plan, combining their expertise and creativity in a bid to give the cub a fighting chance. While their efforts focused on the sickly cub, the team was acutely aware of the delicate balancing act they had to maintain. Milani's other healthy cubs demanded her attention, and the emotional turmoil of managing the divide between motherhood and the critical care unit was a constant challenge. Being solitary creatures, cheetahs did not have the benefit of an entire pride caring for their cubs. For this reason, Milani couldn't delegate the crucial task of raising her 4 healthy babies to other females in the enclosure. Her cubs needed milk, warmth, and protection. Their eyes were still closed and would not open before the 10-day mark. They were completely helpless and couldn't understand the emotional turmoil their mother was going through because of their tiny sibling. The staff juggled these responsibilities with care and precision, each decision made with the well-being of the entire cheetah family in mind. As days turned into weeks, the sickly cub's journey to recovery was marked by gradual progress. Its once feeble body began to show signs of improvement, and the delicate glimmers of hope were met with cautious optimism. Every milestone reached was a testament to the dedication of the team and the strength of the little cub they named Zuma, who was fighting to survive. Throughout the grueling process, Milani's resilience never wavered. The cheetah, who had endured hardships in the wild and the challenges of pregnancy, now faced the uncertainty of her cub's fate. Her eyes, once filled with unease, now held a mixture of hope and determination. She would stand guard over her cubs, her instincts heightened by the knowledge that one of them was fighting a battle of its own. The zoo staff worked round the clock, their commitment unyielding. Each test, each treatment was administered with precision and care, with the ultimate goal of giving the sickly cub a chance to thrive. Zuma's progress was closely monitored, its every movement and reaction scrutinized with a watchful eye. As weeks stretched on, its strength grew, and its once pallid skin began to regain a healthier hue. The intensive care and unwavering dedication were paying off, slowly but surely. The atmosphere in the zoo was one of both tension and hope, a delicate balance between the uncertainty of the future and the determination to shape it. The cub, which had once seemed so fragile and feeble, was now showing remarkable signs of stability. Its breathing grew steadier, and where its movements had once been sluggish and tentative, they now showed signs of vitality, squirming and wriggling with a determined energy. Once silent and barely active, little Zuma was becoming more vocal and could now take a few steps. His stringy and sparse fur was growing denser and healthier, and he started to look more like his healthy siblings. The team's efforts had not been in vain, and every day when they tracked progress, the room buzzed with a newfound sense of excitement. The joy that emanated from the staff was as palpable as the relief that flooded the space. But the journey was far from over. The next challenge was to reintroduce the cub to its mother, to forge the bond that was crucial for its survival. Everyone held their breath as Milani approached little Zuma, the air charged with anticipation. Would she accept the cub despite his fragile state? Or would she reject him and leave him to be the runt of the litter forever? Having worked with Milani the longest, Dr. Alvarez was the one to bring the cub to her. He approached with caution, like he had done all those months ago, and carefully dropped the cub some feet away from his mother. As Milani drew closer, the tension among her audience was almost tangible. Her eyes, filled with a mix of curiosity and maternal instinct, were fixed on baby Zuma. She circled the young cheetah almost as if she were studying him. Then, as if in slow motion, she extended her tongue and gently licked the cub's tiny form. The gesture was tender and hesitant, but the bond between the mother and cub was very much alive. And then, something truly magical happened. Milani picked Zuma up by the scruff of his neck and took him to meet his other siblings. Dr. Alvarez could feel tears well in his eyes at the moment. Zuma's siblings welcomed him with open paws, and not too long after, they were already playing and goofing around with each other, as young cheetahs do. The cheetah care team at the Metro Richmond Zoo bore witness to a story of heartache, perseverance, and ultimate triumph. The challenges had been immense, the stakes high, but the unwavering commitment of every individual involved had turned the tide in favor of life. The sickly cub, once on the brink of despair, now had a place with his family, a living testament to the power of dedication, compassion, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her cub. Delighted by the monumental progress with their program, Jim Andelin was proud to share the story with the public, praising Dr. Alvarez and his team for their excellent work. Soon, lots of love and support started pouring in for the cheetah family and the team responsible for their care. This was when they decided to set up a 24-hour cheetah cam that would allow fans and animal lovers to watch the lives of these gorgeous creatures and check on them from time to time. It was also a way for the zoo to gather support and resources that would help them take better care of the animals in their care. What an incredible story of hope and triumph! How would you have reacted in the staff's place, seeing little Zuma at birth? Do you think that we humans should let nature take its course, or do you believe the vets were right to help the cheetah cub?
If you wasn't meant to intervene, your maker wouldn't have said, and have dominion over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. That is a good thing that they did. And we should all recognize the value of all of the creatures on the planet and the magnificence of our position as a species to be over all of this. And so if people were as concerned about their fellow man as they showed the concern about those animals, the world would be a paradise. But you have a shortage of principled people because righteousness has been sealed up. And where it many times appears that people have righteousness in them, we discover that they do what they do not solely because it is good, but because they need to make a living. And but it does not take away from the fact that that was a good thing. And that's one of the reasons why when I make judgments, you know, when I look at the history of this country and I look at people like Donald Trump, I also remember people like them people that I just saw. And I've seen many, you know, just like the doctors that did surgery on me. He was a young Caucasian, and he finished my surgery in about repairing my hernia. I think he finished it in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And he did it with what they call laparoscopic surgery. Put a little hole in one side, 3 holes in my stomach, one on one side, the left and the right, and one right up under my navel. And I never even took pain pills. He gave me some, I think, some Tylenol or something, but I didn't take it because it never really hurt. And you know, many people say, well, I wouldn't have trusted that devil. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I trust in Allah. And, you know, I don't try to play doctor, and I do not I don't try to find fault where there may not be any. And so I remember the messenger, he had a doctor. And he believed in doctors. And so do I. There's one thing I can say about me and Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan went to a doctor too. And I'm pretty sure he did that because he saw his teacher do that. And so, you know, everybody that's got white skin don't necessarily, I mean, if you don't know nothing else, you look at Master Farad Muhammad. I mean, he had white skin. So that don't make somebody, skin don't make you any more than a suit makes you. You know, always remember that, brother and sister. The minute you think that you can judge people just by what their skin look like, you about to be lost. The messenger said you go by his color because you didn't know who was up under the color. You know? He said, but it ain't flesh and blood that we fighting with. We fighting with corrupt minds. And a corrupt mind can be in anybody. And if you open yourself up to that, we see that. If you grew up in the black community, especially in what is called the ghetto, you know corrupt minds is everywhere in the ghetto. You know, so you know you got to grow and grow upward. You see. So if you keep coming to my class, you will grow. See, it's just like the brother who spoke to me yesterday and was so. He said he was happy to talk with me and happy to hear what I had to say, but I guess he wasn't as happy as he was saying, because he told me he was going to come in here and question me. He wanted to question me about the flag and whatnot, and I told him I answer all questions in class, not in private conversations. You see, and but you know, he didn't show. That's what I meant about that. I found fault in people that said they was in the nation, and you know, they say they gonna do this or gonna do that, and they don't do nothing. They don't keep their word. The messenger taught us that a Muslim's word is his bond, and bond is life. And before my word shall fail, I will give my life. So, you know, just like sometimes things come up that I can't keep my word, but at least I will call somebody and tell them that I can't keep it. Do you understand? You know, I know circumstances sometimes prevent you from keeping an appointment that you may have had or whatnot, because I don't expect people to, you know, put things on hold that they can't put on hold for me. I don't do that. So I don't expect people to misunderstand when I tell them that it's something that I can't get away right now, because I have this other commitment here that's coming up that I have to get ready for. Do you understand? And so, but sometimes people just look for an excuse to think ill of you. I'm not one of those people, though. But I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I want, if the brother is listening now, it's not too late. Call in. We can discuss what you want to discuss. You don't have to give your name. That's okay. You know, just whatever question you wanted to ask me, you feel free to ask. Just like I started off telling you about the red and white and the blue, and that flag was given to them purposely with them colors in it, you know. And then you notice the stars in it. Each star represents a state that would otherwise be called a country. Do you understand? Like on the continent of Africa, they call what would be states, they call them countries, because they are not united. You understand? And so, but each star represents a state, and that's each state is in that blue, is in that, as the book says, that pale horse, and his name that sat on him was called Death. And you notice the symbol for death is the cross. And so you have the states, and all of them, basically, there was a time when the only religion that was actually well known in this country was Christianity. If people wasn't a Christian, they wasn't nothing. You know, you didn't hear about Islam and all of that. But in the 30s, excuse me, in the 30s was when Islam was introduced. by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And, you know, that was a turning point. And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put a blackboard up there where he asked the question, which one will survive the War of Armageddon? And it had Christianity on the left side and under the American flag, and the you notice he had that right on the board. The flag above the cross, not the flag under the cross. For this is not a Christian country. It is a government, a democratic republic, not a Christian country. And so that it allows you to practice whatever religious doctrine you want. Their government does. But you can't turn the government into a religious government. That's not what it's about, you see. And the minute you try to do that, you lose this government, you see, because you go back to the Crusades and all of that kind of stuff where people tried to force people into religion. And that's not the way you, if you didn't start out as a criterion for being a part of your nation as being religious, you can't all of a sudden change and say that's what your criterion for to be a part of this nation. You got to be a certain religious, you have to practice religion. No, if you didn't start off like that, then you ain't never going to be successful trying to go into that. Whatever you start off as, then that you have a right to demand to stay that way. But if you start off wrong, now you ain't gonna get nowhere with it, no way. So it is always better to give people the freedom to be part of what you have or leave it, and it has to be their free will to do so. Otherwise, it's an exercise in futility. Because when you try to do something that takes the freedom of will, that's what the true freedom is, the freedom of each individual to will to be a part of something or to do something, or will not to do it, and be given the freedom to do so. Do you understand? And so that is the true freedom of the human spirit. And then if you want to take it to another level, then your freedom that you exercise in your will, you have to be careful that the freedom of will, that you will the right thing, that you will to join with and do what is right, because there are consequences for choosing to do the wrong thing. So you choose wrong, you do wrong, you receive the consequence of wrong. Do you understand? Okay. So I'm not going to hold you. We're going to call it, put a pin in it there. And may Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. And remember what I said. The minute you start convincing yourself that you can do something that is patently wrong, but if you do it for the right reason, it can turn out right. That ain't gonna happen. That's just self-deception. If you want things to turn out right, then you must do the right thing. All right. Then I'm going to let you go now. May Allah bless us, keep us safe, and in our right minds. May Allah's salam alaikum